From water desalination filters, extremely efficient batteries, all the way to heat shields in spaceships, graphene has an incredible number of applications. Without a doubt, it will take over the world just like plastic did. But is that a good thing? In this video, I'm going to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly. Things that will make you think twice before turning your car into an unrecyclable machine. Graphene sure promises a lot of miracles to the future of mankind, and they will all come true. But there is one silent truth that, if not addressed, will become a huge problem in a not so distant future. And that is, how do we recycle it? One of the strongest materials known to date, it is so strong that if we were to use graphene to replace the Golden Gate Bridge cables, instead of 1 meter in diameter, it would come down to less than 2 centimeters. Mixing it with concrete increases its strength by up to 15%, which basically means less cement, less CO2 emissions, and better and taller buildings overall. It can endure high temperatures of over 4500 Kelvin, and it's superconducting with its magic angle. Bulletproof with only 7 micron sheet thickness, and it has by far the best heat dissipation. While being obsessed with the wonderful world of graphene, at the same time I stumbled upon the Ocean Cleanup Project. Right now you're probably thinking, how did you go from graphene to the Ocean Cleanup Project? And that's a good question. The answer to that is microplastics. You see, back in the day when graphene blew up, one of the coolest things about it is that you can make holes that are small enough to let only water molecules pass through. Coupled with the fact that it can endure enormous pressure, not only you get 99.9% pure water, but you can do that at a rate of thousands of liters per second. This includes something that has been a nightmare for water treatment facilities all around the world, which is hormones, or more precisely, estrogen variants that come out of plastic. You see, estrogen isn't just a problem for humans, it is a problem for pretty much every single living being on the planet. As I came to understand it and soon saw the amount of plastics that they were pulling out of the oceans daily, something became very clear to me. Not only we need to change our habits of consumption, I was also shocked to realize that graphene is the new plastic, but worse. As I said in the beginning, graphene has some amazing properties. It is truly the wonder material, which begs the question, how do you even destroy this thing? Unfortunately, plastics have already answered that question. Yes, you can destroy it, but at what cost? For something to be recycled, it must be financially viable and attractive. Example, aluminum, cheap to recycle, high demand, profit. Plastic, expensive to recycle, low demand, no profit. Basically what this means is that a recycled product needs to be cheaper than what is already available out there, and that has proven next to impossible with most plastics. This is the reason why most of them end up in a dump, regardless of your efforts to make sure they land on the right color bin. But it's not that you can't recycle, it's just that the final recycled product is too expensive to compete with whatever's already available out there, so why bother? Today, there's enough plastic in the world to cover Manhattan Island several times over, with almost 10 billion tons of plastic waste. And the problem is only getting worse. Out of all the problems I described so far, graphene could be the solution we need, or make everything worse. Not like we're going to have plastic bags made out of graphene anytime soon. What I envision is much worse. The first products to use graphene will be batteries and glass. Now batteries I'm not too worried about, for now. What I'm concerned with is layering graphene onto certain products to make them more durable, such as glass. Why is that a bad idea? Well, because of a little invention called the Tetra Pak, which is a perfect demonstration of the dangers of this idea. From the outside, looks harmless, not a big deal, just a food package made from layers of paper, plastic, and aluminum. Recycling the paper layer is straightforward, not a big deal. However, try separating aluminum from plastic. Just to give you an idea, you need several times more energy to take it apart than to put it together in the first place. How much energy are we talking about? Well, the best way to separate aluminum plastic is through a method called electrostatic separation. Think of it as a giant machine that pulverizes the aluminum plastic material. These tiny particles then pass in between the electrostatic sections, which are basically two rods close to each other that create an electrostatic differential. One side is set for aluminum and the other side set for plastic. Once the material passes in between these rods, it rips them apart, separating aluminum from the plastic with a 98.9% efficiency. So, how much energy goes into this? Well, recycling 1 ton of aluminum plastic requires about 170 kilowatts. That is 17 wind turbines, or 850 solar panels. 1 ton per hour sounds good, right? Well, get ready for this. At least 2 million tons of this stuff are consumed per year worldwide, whereas only 26% of that is actually recycled. How does graphene take this to the next level? Well, what is glass made of? Silicon. And how many bonds can silicon make? 4. Now, how many bonds can carbon make? 4. And how many are taken in graphene? 3. If separating aluminum plastic is already difficult, just imagine how difficult it will be to separate this. And then there are solar panels. They're also in line to receive some graphene upgrades too, with huge benefits for energy production and price reduction. However, they are notoriously challenging to recycle, which means that adding graphene will only intensify this problem. If you layer graphene onto it, on one hand you get the benefits of a longer lasting panel that can provide more energy through its lifetime. Instead of losing on average 0.5% per year in energy production, graphene could bring that down to less than 0.1%. On the other hand, you can't recycle the panel anymore. If there's anything that we learned from the plastics experience, it is that we can't allow any more dumps out there the size of Manhattan several times over. The responsibility will ultimately fall onto the consumer. How? By factoring in the cost of recycling to the price you pay. In all honesty, we don't even know how complicated it will be to recycle solar panels once graphene is added to it. Will it be possible at all? And there are other problems that I didn't mention in this video, like for instance, what would happen if nanoparticles detach from graphene and land on drinking water? Or go airborne? Are there any long-term consequences to that? For now, the only thing we can do is speculate. So how do we reconcile the great benefits that graphene brings with its dark recycling side? 2 words: personal responsibility. We need to demand better and longer lasting products. And to promote this idea, we need to lead by example. iPhone 7, 4 years and still going. But it is reaching the point of no return. The battery is reaching the end of its life cycle. And you know what that means? Changing the battery is actually more expensive than buying a new phone. But I'm willing to keep it as is because that is my way of walking the talk of personal responsibility. I mean, why get a new one if this one still works? On average, consumers upgrade their phones every 2 years. If pushed back just 1 year, to 3 years on average, we have an amazing start. Now make it 5 years, and raw material consumption drops by a lot. Exactly what we need. And solar panels, same thing. Imagine extending its lifetime from 20 years to 100 years, which is completely doable with graphene technology. Just imagine 3 generations benefiting from solar energy. Now many of you probably think that changing our personal consumption habits is unrealistic, since we live in a world where products are designed to be complicated to fix. They last about 2 years, and then we are forced to replace with new ones, thus locking us into a perpetual cycle of consumption. That needs to change. Here's what I propose. Before you commit your money to producers of technologies with graphene, challenge their plans on recycling. Support companies that prioritize the longevity of their products, service, and repair. We need to support companies that have the mindset of no waste, that design technology to last and or easily be repaired. We need to help them out whichever way we can. And lastly, we need to embrace the right to repair.